As an entrepreneur, do you find Instagram difficult? Like you're not getting enough views. You don't know when to post or what to post. You don't know how to actually get customers from your IG. The reality is, if you're not using Instagram correct, you could be leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars on the table by not knowing what to do. I'm only 4 years into being a content creator, and I've personally used IG to generate just over $10 million in sales for my side business. My primary business in the mortgage industry, I grew from 6 to multiple 7 figures using Instagram alone. That's why today's conversation is all about how to make Instagram easy for the entrepreneur. So we're gonna get into a framework that everybody can use. But first, before we do that, I think it's important that you talk about the perspective as a content creator, the mindset that you should have. Because I feel like most people get this wrong. They're thinking about it all wrong. And then when we get into all the tactics later, it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, I think perspective wise, it's really knowing why you're doing content, because there is this thing called the creator economy. And there are people building businesses with their content. But for most people's cases, especially those that are entrepreneurs and or in business, this is a marketing attempt.
Yeah.
This is for the business. So the content isn't your business, it's a means to more business. Yeah. And I think that kind of gives more of a it even changes your approach, because then you're not really trying that hard. You know?
And we were just talking about, like, Ali Abdaal had a guest on, or he has a friend essentially that had just like 14K followers and was able, or subscribers, and was able to do $750,000 in sales off that small audience. And it just kind of shows you, like, hey, last time I checked, you can't deposit your followers or your likes or your views at the bank. But if you're a business owner, you can use this as 100. The vehicle to get all those sales. And what I found is, when you do this correctly, it makes the sales game just so much easier.
Right.
Like I'm actually not that good of a salesperson, but I became a better marketer, so I don't have to sell.
Yep.
And so you could attract more clients.
Well,
So
I would like to know your point of view though, because you're 4 years in, but you probably in the back of your mind just accepted the fact that this is a new norm for business owners.
Yes.
So you like increase your time horizon of even results. It's weird, because like if you did it for results, then you would have probably gotten discouraged early on and probably given up. And yes, we want to make sure that this is leading to something at some point. But what was your mind going into starting to take your Instagram more serious for business?
Yeah, I think that's the part of, like, maybe the goals were just the actions, not necessarily the outcome. So like the outcome would be like, oh, I want all these followers, I want all this money, but like, for me, I just would check off, okay, I just need to get like a few videos posted this week. So maybe my schedule at that time was post a video on Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
I got to post a video on Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'll get better at the videos. Maybe good things will happen. But I found that most people have it the opposite way. They're looking at the analytics on every video and like just refresh, trying to see if it failed, what they got from it. And you're right. That's probably why so many people are quitting.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who I started with, 4 or 5 years ago, aren't doing content anymore.
Crazy.
They're just gone. So a lot of it is just attrition. Like, just stay in the game. You get better. A lot of your competitors quit. But I still feel like today, 2020, almost into 2025, it's not crowded. It's not saturated. Like, even when I wanted to launch this podcast, I asked you, like, dude, our podcast saturated? You're like, no, bro. If you do it right, it's not that many people doing it correctly. So I don't think any business is saturated or any industry is saturated, because most people suck.
Yeah.
They just don't do it right.
Yeah, no, most people suck, and with the amount of people trying, like the uniqueness of the individual to find their way, it really is. It becomes your way. So like I love that we'll share a framework, but what I want people to listen to or watch while we're doing this is, what does that mean to you? Because it means something different to everybody in regards to how you're going to choose to show up. But that's why it's good to just have a big picture approach to this thing.
Yeah. So for me, I just wanted more people to know me in my local market. So it was like in Reno, Nevada, just posting videos. And then I was just trying to use it as a vehicle to connect with more people that could send me business, or that could use me in my business, which was mortgage and real estate. So I post educational content. Yeah. And I think that's important when you think about, like, what's the type of content you're going to post. If you look at the content that is the most viral and reaches the most amount of people and gets the most views and subscribers and all that stuff, it's education. I mean, it's entertainment.
Yep.
So entertainment, I can't do that. Like, I can't dance, tell jokes, but I could educate. I have the knowledge. I think a lot of people who I talk to have been in business for 5, 10, 20 years. They have so much knowledge to share, but they just don't know how to like package it.
Right.
So they do it in a way that gets no results and then they quit. So I think that's the main thing is like, okay, I got this information. I want to share it. I know it's going to help people. How do I do that? I'm going to go the education route. Along the way, I started to sprinkle in inspirational content because like to inspire other people to be more successful or to share my success, and that would inspire others along the way. And then the other thing that I kind of stumbled into was I became comfortable sharing personal life. So that created the connection. So I don't really do much entertainment, but I'll tell you that the educational content, even if the views are lower, it's a higher quality viewer that will do business with you, that will refer you business.
Yes. And that's coming from the perspective to know that not all viewers are created equal. And this is why your podcast, my podcast, actually Google pays us a lot of money because they know that our viewer is more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like, it actually is, because I love the practical approach of content creation, because if you are an educator and you're good at teaching and you're good at explaining things and showing things, that like, you know, to be known for somebody that is helping other people just, you know, get to the next step, which by the way, this is like a great frame of mind. I always like telling people that the reason why education is so powerful is because you're actually, when people watch your content, they're actually getting time back.
Yeah.
It's like because they found you, they're actually getting more time back in their life because you're giving them whatever, the secrets, the things they didn't know, the things that they don't teach in school and all those stuff. So you're like, your content is actually, that's what people feel. It's like, dang, I'm getting time back from by spending time with you, which is just on a psychological standpoint, and like marketing is psychology, sales is psychology. It's very powerful.
Yeah. And it's like the other thing, and you've talked a lot about this as well, is when somebody takes an action based on the content that you post. So when I saw people literally start the process of buying a home because of a video that I posted, and it wasn't even a good video. And then that act, that financial decision has the possibility to change someone's whole life. Honestly,
crazy.
You know, it sounds kind of cliche or cheesy, but people in real estate, you know, we change lives. Like
100.
People buy a home and that becomes their biggest source of wealth. They end up doing better financially because they're a homeowner. There's all these side effects that happen. And sometimes that can be traced back to a single video that you posted.
Crazy.
And then the part that really led to more business for me was just showing up consistently. And so that way, you know, when somebody needs you, you're there. So they already thought of you, they got your first video, but then it might be 6 months later. It could be a year later before they actually need you. And then how do you stay in contact? So I was not good at the traditional way, which is like sending cards out, making cold calls, checking in. I just felt this kind of like disingenuous. Like you're calling someone to check in on them. The real goal is because you want their business, but like they knew that. And there's always this like kind of a weirdness on those calls. And I know you could do it in a way, and we still do this, but for me, it was just way more comfortable to just put out the videos. So honestly, putting the videos out on social, and then this is a hack for everybody out there, is like, not just like build it, they will come. Like I know we have organic reach now. In the beginning, I didn't even have organic reach. It was just like the people who followed you. Now you have this cool thing where a person with 100 followers can get the same amount of views as someone with 10,000 or 100,000 followers, because each piece of content is viewed independently by the platform. So today you can post a video even if you don't have an audience and reach a lot of people. But back when I first started, that wasn't the case. So I would actually drive traffic to it. And I still think people should do this today, is when you make these videos on social, I would send an email to my list and let them know like, hey, I'm posting this type of content on Instagram. Let's connect there. Like drive people to see the videos that you're posting, because many times they won't find it or they don't even know you exist on the platform. Hey, quick question for you. How much have you been loving these podcast episodes? I've been getting so much great feedback from you guys. And right here is where I would typically put in an ad read for these episodes. But you know what? I was thinking about it. The only thing I really want to promote right now, and the only thing I want you to do is just hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this thing out, and so many of you are watching and listening and sharing, but you're not subscribed to the channel. So whether you're watching or listening, hit the follow button, hit subscribe, and that's gonna allow me to grow this thing. Let's get back to the episode.
It's really good. Another thing I like saying or having people do is, that's one way to do that. Email your people, tell them like, hey, you can get consistent information here. And then what you can also do is take the consistent information you're doing with your social media and reformat that into copy, so that you are consistent on emails and you're actually pushing out value emails and people are getting value. You know, you're consistently in both whatever platform you desire to grow in, and then also on the email, which I have found the goal of being consistent is less about, going viral and more about the people that do follow you just see you consistently.
Yeah.
So you send an email 3 times a week or whatever, they're just seeing your name. Whether they open up the email or not, they saw your name. And then when you're posting, there's only a small group of people that are posting consistently for a specific, for specific niches. And you're just communicating to people that like, oh, they're serious. Like and you probably have all the time in the world, because if business isn't going super, great right now, it can look like it is simply because you're showing up consistently online.
Yeah. So perception is reality.
Yeah.
You're a consistent person. You're a knowledgeable person. All these things can be put out there. And I just think of this change. Like I was asking the wrong question for the first 15 years of my business, which was like, how do I find more clients? Mm-hmm. And then when I started to post the videos, I kind of stumbled into this, but I was being more findable.
Right.
So I think the question people should ask is like, how could I be more findable to the people who need my service? I think most people would be shocked how many people need their service.
100.
But they don't know that person exists.
Right.
They're not even aware of that person. Also, many people complain that, or they actually say this, that like, I'm way better than the competition. But they don't know this,
Right.
like they end up going with somebody who's inferior. They get worse service. They get a worse outcome. They spend money and time that they didn't have to because they didn't know you exist.
Right.
So I think that's, how do I make myself more findable, is the first like frame that you have to go into this whole thing with. And then that now becomes like the purpose of why you need to post every Tuesday and Thursday. And I would tell people, this is a common question I get, is like, when should I post? Like what time? And, I always find this weird that people always default to like, what gear did you shoot with?
Yeah.
What's the right time to post?
They want the hacks.
What's the hashtag you should use? Well, the most important thing is your message. Like, what are you teaching? But there are like systems that you could use. So to be consistent, I think people should post 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For me, I've honestly found that posting in the morning is the best. So just get it posted in the morning. It has the full day to run. So for the people who need that specific answer,
there you go.
Post Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. in your time zone.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And then if 3 times a week is too much, you post every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 times a week. And it's 52 weeks a year. I'd rather have somebody do that than try and go super hard posting 7 days a week for like 2 months and then quit.
Right.
Which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They go hard. And then all of a sudden, like how many podcasts, how many YouTube channels were launched, and you see like a few episodes and then nothing.
But yeah, the stat is, I think over 90% of podcasts that start don't get past episode 4.
Yeah. And then, so I think the other kind of tactical thing that people need to know, and this is important for like where they should be posting. So I saw Alex Hormozi posted a video recently where they went through and analyzed, and he has enough scale to where the data is really important. It's actually insightful. Like you could see how you could apply this to yourself. So they looked at TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, everything, right? And Facebook and as well, and email. And he found that the platforms that are giving him the most ROI, the most customers, are YouTube and Instagram.
So cool.
And so, and Instagram was the leader, I believe. It was Instagram and YouTube.
I mean, yeah, let's break down why that's the case.
Yeah. So one thing could be the type of customer. So think about this. For me, you have to know who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
My target audience is a millennial, maybe even an elder millennial like myself, who has funds.
Yeah.
They have money to invest. They either want it. In my core business, it was like they want to buy real estate. They need financing. In my other business, it's somebody in the industry that needs to build their personal brand. But these are people who are like in that segment. There are a lot of these people on Instagram. Like that's the biggest audience on Instagram, is that millennial audience.
Yeah.
Now, I do see a lot of people crushing on TikTok, but me personally, I've not gotten anything on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like maybe close to 100K followers there. I post there sometimes. I'm not really focused there, but I haven't seen much there.
Yeah, I think it's the psychological behavior of consumption. Like TikTok is very entertainment, like even like, if you give good game on TikTok, like cut up a clip from this podcast, it's just not going to do as good on TikTok as it would on Instagram. But then it's also just it is one button to go from great video to conversation.
Yeah.
And
on
Instagram. the DM conversations on Instagram is why I would say that's probably why for business owners, Instagram is the best.
Yeah. And that's what Alex said as well, is like the number of people that click on link in bio or DM him or comment.
Yeah.
It's just way more. On YouTube, it's a different type of relationship you have with the viewer because they're watching you for 10, 20, 30 minutes. So that is like a deeper relationship.
Right.
There's a study that says people need time on brand, like 37 minutes they should spend with you, your personal brand, before they know, like, and trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's much easier to get that
Right.
on YouTube than it is on a bunch of short form videos.
Yeah.
So again, to summarize, for business owners, I would say YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you are not ready for long form yet, then just let's run Instagram. That's what I did. I ran Instagram. Now I'm just now starting YouTube seriously, like 4 years into this.
Yeah. And you could still, I mean, actually the way to still get like long form even done on Instagram, like to get people to build a deeper thing is just go live.
Yeah.
I actually think not enough people realize that that's just out there. That's a possibility. Like you can go live once a Friday, you know, maybe your Friday post is a 10-minute live where you address something. You don't need to edit it or anything, or maybe it's once a month, but it's actually of the people that click your live and they sit and hang, you're actually building that time spent on your brand. And a cool little live stream framework I like to teach people is, you know, when you do a live stream, whether it's on Instagram or even YouTube, prioritize the replay value over the live value.
Yeah.
More people will watch the replay of your live than the actual live of your live. So when you start a live stream, start it with a hook.
Yeah.
You know, so where is the housing market in, you know, going into 2025? We're going to talk about the three things that are biggest, whatever.
Or like right now, how's the election going to affect things? Yeah. What is the hot button thing you could lead with right away?
And then you like jump into it.
Yeah.
And then you can take a small break and be like, yo, I just want to shout out, if you're watching on the live, you know, put in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, like speak to them, tell them to comment something, and it could yield some engagement. I found when you just ask, sometimes they just do it, right?
Yeah.
If you don't ask, they won't do it at all. And then be done, you know, but I find myself clicking on people's live streams and I'll just sit and watch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, 20 minutes went by. Pace Morby was one not too long ago. He was like on his property and he was just honestly ranting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just want to say like you can
and even if the numbers are small, it's still super valuable because it's long form. So you have to think about, you know, somebody who views your short reel, they might have only watched it for a few seconds and moved on to the next thing. That counts as a view on Instagram.
Yeah.
But this is different when someone's sitting with you for 5, 10, 20 minutes. That's totally different type of audience.
Yeah.
So the other thing that Instagram has that no other platform has is this stories, right? So people are watching you behind the scenes, and you can use stories to really grow your business. I've done a ton of business using Instagram stories. We'll get into a strategy everybody can use on that. But I would say this, you know, use the feed to grow and bring people in. And then we would use stories to speak to that existing audience. So use posting reels to, obviously you speak to your audience, but then also you're getting discovered by new people for free. So if you go into Instagram right now and you just start scrolling in the feed, you'll notice that videos will pop up with like 2 likes and a few comments. And you're like, well, I don't follow this dude. That guy's getting an audition with you right now. Like Instagram is hooking him up. Being like, yo, watch this video. Now, if I continue watching it, it's going to show it to more strangers and so on and so forth. So I think people just are sleeping on that opportunity. And I would, if you don't believe me, just open up Instagram and just start scrolling reels.
Yeah.
Like right now, I don't know what it is, but something changed in the last few months where almost half the videos in my feed are like this.
Yeah. You don't follow them.
Correct. So now they're just like presenting people to you. And some of these videos have no views or like 13 views. So those people are getting an audition. And so here's the thing. Think about this. You're like, okay, I understand that, Neel. But now what are you doing with your audition? Right? What are you going to say to capture somebody? I don't know what it is, bro, but I found that still to this day, people use their audition to introduce themselves. Hey, y'all. And they tell him I just wanted to pop on here. This is Neel. And I'm like, bro, it says your name literally right above. People know the day of the week. They know if it's sunny or rainy. And I think if you need to say this to like, just to get the wheels going, just trim it off the video.
Yeah.
But like I might say like right now, I might say, you know, hey, happy Saturday. I'm here in Vegas. Man, it's a sunny day today, kind of windy, kind of cold, but you know, I really wanted to teach you that. And then getting into it now, trim all that off and just go straight to it. I just want to teach you this thing that's changed my business. Like cut to this chase. And I can't stress that enough because I thought this is just common knowledge, bro, but people still make the mistake.
Yeah. And that's just why starting to make videos is helpful, watch it back and realize how much fluff is in it. You have to go into content creation with the understanding that people are inherently selfish. You as a content creator, we're selfish too. That's why we're all starting with, here's my day and here's me. But if you lead with the perspective that people are inherently selfish, what would they want to hear? This is why I like saying that it takes care to be a really good creator, because if you listen to your prospects or do you listen to the problems that people are facing, speak to those things and it calls people out.
Yeah. And so just think about this when you're posting videos in the feed. It's like the video in the feed in your reel as a reel needs to be primarily like to the stranger, not to the audience. So like I think people assume this is to your followers.
Right.
If you do it correctly, it's mostly going to be non-followers. Any video that I've had that's taken off was mostly to people who never saw me. This was them seeing me for the first time. What am I going to use that audition for? Well, I'm going to teach them something. I'm going to get into the topic quickly. Now in stories, these are just your best followers. So if you want to talk about something like, and you want to go and do it in your own way, that's cool. I think they're much more forgiving there than they would be in the feed.
Yeah.
So, and also I've seen this now where the platform is pretty ruthless in terms of like, if you make a bad video, it's just dead.
Yeah.
It used to be like you'd see more consistency across your views.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like feast or famine. Like, bro, it's like 0 or like that video just bombed for whatever reason. I didn't connect with the audience. Oh, this one blew up.
Yeah.
And so it's more important now than ever.
That's good. Can you talk about, because people probably think they have to always put their face on camera, open up their mouth and talk. You've been posting, sentences and quotes and things like that. How has that been?
Yeah, some of those videos blow up. Yeah. They've been, I had one just did 2 million views the other day. Wow. And all it was just a thought that I had one morning.
So just break it down. You get a photo.
Yeah. So this is it. You would take a photo. This is a great tactic.
Yeah.
And this is also when you're in between videos, you need something to post. So the way you do this is you take a photo and you bring it into Canva and you just pick in Canva Instagram Reel. And when you bring a photo into an Instagram Reel, I think it gives you like an 8-second video of that photo.
Yeah.
And you drag it down. You want it to be 4 seconds. So I just make it like just under 4 seconds, 3.9 seconds. And then on that image, you would put in your written thought. I do it in the style of a tweet. The reason why is because people recognize Twitter.
Yeah.
It's now X, obviously, but they recognize that format. So it's like a publicly recognized format. And it just, for whatever reason, just connects with the audience better. So I take my picture, make it a 4-second video. It's just a still image.
Yeah.
And then put that over it. Now, you could do the same thing with B-roll. For those who don't know B-roll, can you describe what B-roll is?
The actual definition is B-roll is supplementary footage, meaning it's footage that doesn't have audio coming from it. It's just a video that you would put on top of A-roll. So right now this is A-roll.
Yeah,
us talking. But if we were to put image on top of our voices, that would be B-roll. So it's honestly footage of anything.
Yeah. So it could be you on a call, you put up the phone, or you ask somebody to get a video of you. Now, here's the way I get B-roll, bro, is I ask somebody, hey, could you grab a shot of us? So me and Omar could be just having lunch, for example. And I'll tell somebody, if they're with me, like, yo, bro, could you grab a video of us? And then they know what to do because they're with me all the time. But let's just say it was just me and you, nobody was there.
Yeah.
I'll literally ask the waiter, bro. Hey, because they always ask waiters to take photos. Like, why don't you just ask them to take a video? Yeah. Hey, could you get a video? Sometimes video's unusable because they mess it up, but many times you could like coach them up. Hey, just like you have it all
Throw
set.
it on the wide angle so it won't be shaky.
And tell them like, just move like this, smooth. And there's so much good stabilization in the new iPhones. I think it works if you have an Android too, but like you just move across.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. So you just move across the room, get the video. You can trim it if they did it too long, whatever. But now you have B-roll.
Yeah.
So all that to say is like, now you can use those B-roll shots as the background to this 4-second video that has a written thought over it. Now, what do you write? So for me, I start every day with a tweet. I just put in my stories. I tweet something out. I have a bunch of them I've already done because I think I've tweeted like 5,000 things over the years.
Wow.
And then I just take the ones that perform the best. I put them up as a story, but I kind of know like which ones people vibe with, meaning how many reactions you would get.
Mm-hmm.
So on Instagram, it's really hard to do this right now on X on Twitter because it's just hard to grow there. Like you would post something and get no love. They don't give you any likes, like nothing, no views. and it's hard to build an audience there. But where you can test this, everybody can test this right now, is on Instagram Threads. Have you started using Threads?
Dude, I'm sleeping on Threads.
So Threads just reached, I think, 250 million people. It's blowing up, and it's basically Instagram's version of Twitter. It's a written format only. You can post video and photo there, but not really. People just want the text. So start like you everybody who has an Instagram account, I think you can just one tap, you now have a Threads account.
Right.
So start writing on Threads. Now you can see which ones do better than others because they'll give you free organic reach there. We have a guy in our group who, for whatever reason, wasn't converting on Instagram. He started doing Threads, taking whatever he was saying in the video and condensing it down to a short written statement.
Wow.
And he got his first client last week from Threads.
That's crazy.
And he hasn't got a client from Instagram yet.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. Like there's a lot of opportunity there, but I would write something every day and see what works.
Yeah.
And then the one that did slightly better, doesn't mean it has to go viral, but the one that got like just a little bit more love, that's one that's like, okay, that's what I'm going to use on the image for my Instagram reel.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool way to add into the arsenal of types of content to put out.
Yeah.
And I think people underestimate the power of good written copy.
Yeah.
Like people are reading that. I mean, obviously like with videos, there's caption and it's good to see people hear your voice and stuff. But when people are it's almost like they're getting inside of your mind when they read. That's how I feel like when I read those on your stories and on your reels, I feel like I'm getting inside your brain.
Yeah.
And there's something weird happening on a connection standpoint that's taking place with that.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to get better at like writing in short condensed words, because I don't know what the character limit is, but the way these written thoughts work is the shorter the better. The person who could make the best thought and teach the most with the fewest amount of words wins. So I don't know if Erwin said this, or I think it was Erwin who told me this. He told me, hey, the best communicators can communicate with the fewest words. So it's like, it doesn't, if you have to overcomplicate it and talk a lot to explain something, that's not mastery. Mastery would be like, I could do this in the least amount of time with the least amount of words.
Yep.
And so if you want to get better at this, there's a book I'm reading right now. It's called Smart Brevity. And I just got it. Somebody recommended it to me, and it's got like the framework you can use to get better at communicating and writing with less words.
That's really good.
And I just to get better at this, look at the words you write when you write something, and like, how could you say it in fewer words and still get the point across?
Yeah.
Many times, like you've got extra fluff in there. There's extra descriptive words that just don't really add anything to it. And so you just start removing things.
Yeah.
And make it better.
Yeah. I think another place, because like you come from you speak from a place of like, you have these moments where you actually are writing out stuff.
Yeah.
Something that I'm trying to get better at is I do a lot of Zoom calls. I do a lot of podcasting. I do a lot of creating, a lot of education. And it like a lot of the stuff just comes out of me, and I'm getting better at in the moment. I'm like, dang, that's a tweet or that's a thread or whatever. And I think most people actually don't realize that you're already having solutions and you're already talking about things, but you think it because it's like a Tuesday morning Zoom call that you can't use that whatever you're saying in there. So if you're recording Zoom calls, I found that like use the transcript, and remember, if you answered a question or you helped somebody get through something, you can just take a moment and talk through or think through like, how can this be rewritten in a sentence? If you are X, try this, it will do this, and then boom, there you go. So I think too, like a lot of people don't realize that it's already like in them, especially people who are doing, I think most people are listening or watching this, they probably have been doing what they've been doing for a long time.
Yes.
So it's just finding your way to say a thing that's been said, a certain way all this time.
Yeah. And we just talked about this before, but like, look at what was on the calendar this past week.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you had, or even today, yesterday, whatever it is. And depending on how busy you are, you probably had meetings with clients. You probably had meetings with people at work internally. You probably went to a webinar or learned something. Those are all content. Those are all pieces of content that you could share. Like on that client call that you did, you solved a problem for them. They had questions, you had answers. They had a problem, you had a solution. Those are the videos. Like you already did it on the call. So you just need to turn that into that. And then the same thing can be done for writing. You just have to get better at writing concisely. And so this is going back to really quick on when to post. The reason why morning is better as well is there's this framework which really helped me. And you actually do this. Maybe you do this just because that's the way your schedule is, because you have babies at home, but you'll post. Sometimes I wake up and it's like 6, 7 a.m. You've already posted.
Yeah, my time is 6:30.
Yeah, super early because you're just up early. When I usually do it around 8 a.m. You should do this every day. Make before you manage. So before you get into your emails, before you start calling clients and putting out fires or dealing with employee issues, you should create something or post something, because I found that everybody shows up for everybody else, like your customers, your clients, your friends, your kids, even strangers you'll show up for. But then when it comes to you, you don't show up for yourself. It's like you come last. And I would move yourself to the top. It's not selfish. It's actually going to help you serve more people.
I actually think it's a great like brain exercise to do. I mean, people write in the morning, like gratitude journals and things like that. This is kind of falls under that same thing. It's like, and I think I'm sharpest in the morning too. I think most people kind of are. And if you're a night owl, maybe you do it at night. But I think I think that's a really cool thing. Is like, just if you create as soon as you wake up. It's actually a great place to put yourself in, because I don't know. Have you read Miracle Morning by Stephen Elrod?
No, but I've heard about this.
Yeah, the idea is that when you wake up in the morning, start your day proactive. So you do something. Yes. Don't open up email. Don't react, because if you react first thing in the morning, not only does it set the tone, and it could be a negative tone for your day, because it's something you didn't plan on seeing or whatever. It could be a text message, an email. Then it's going to influence your day, and you're going to react to everything in your day as opposed to like take the lead or be proactive with decision making or whatever. And I found that the compound effect of taking ownership of my mornings has changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think to get as practical though, to the point of like, use your mornings to create that content.
Yeah. You think about like, if you got into the office and then you start calling people back and you start putting up, it's afternoon before you know it. And then the day's over and you're like, dang, I didn't make the post. I didn't post the thing. And eventually you can get to the point where you can hire people for this to help you distribute your content. But in the beginning, if it's you, which it is for most entrepreneurs, you just need to make the post first before you do anything else. And it's also helpful if you take nothing else away from this episode, bro, like before you start scrolling even,
right?
Get your video posted. And that way it has the full day to run. You can get data. You can see what worked. If you post like 10, 20 videos, guarantee you there's going to be 2 or 3 that did better than all the rest.
Right.
Now we have data we can look at. A lot of people tell me like, yo, bro, like what's wrong with my content?
Yep.
And I'm like, we don't have enough content to see. Like, I don't know what, you've only swung the bat 6 times. Like we need to swing it 60 times so that we can see which ones worked. And it's true. Like if you look at what worked, you can lean into those things. Success leaves clues.
Yep.
So that's the platforms. That's how you should start creating more. What you should be talking about is your expertise, how you solve problems for people. You can get better at packaging this. One quick note I've noticed just tactically is it used to be that theoretical content was working and you could do general content. Like for example, here are 3 ways to do X. Now it's still better than starting off your video with Happy Friday, but at the same point, like 3 ways to do X, those videos seem to be dying.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're just cookie cutter general. Like anytime you could be more specific with like, I want to show you how my client just closed on this $463,000 thing, or I want to show you how this person got this result.
Yeah. It's because it's story. It's more story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're shifting to that.
Right.
To storytelling rather than just straight up like cool, like old school hooks.
Yeah. And you could tell stories with practical advice. You know, sometimes it's like share the story and then what's the practical thing, the practical takeaway, or start with the practical takeaway and then use the story to point back to that. But yeah, no, I've noticed that too. And I think it's just because it was, it's so easy for anyone to say, here are 3 tips for, you know, and now it's like, you probably just chat GPT that or something.
Yeah. It's
but
really
that's why
bad.
when you share something that actually happened or something that you're actually thinking about, or, you're trying to get somebody specific. This is why we should listen when we're on Zoom calls and when we're helping, prospects and stuff, because it's giving us a pulse.
Yeah.
And there might be a different pulse in where you're at, based on location or what kind of business or service you offer. As a pastor, like when I write sermons, the best sermons are the ones that connect with the people in the congregation how do I even know how to connect with people in the congregation? I listen like on coffee dates. I'm paying attention, and I get a pulse. Like, dang, I could feel that like this is a thing right now, and then being able to speak to that. So it makes the approach you're saying, it makes it so hard to be replicated. You can't, like if
it's only your story.
Yeah,
you're only your client success.
So not only is it a unique piece of content, no one else can really copy it, but you're probably going to deliver it way more confidently, with conviction, because it actually happened.
Yeah, and you might get excited along the way because you solved that problem for that person. It's not theoretical.
Right.
So the whole point is it's not general theory, it's actual results. Sharon talked a lot about this on a recent episode, and he's like proof over promise. Mm-hmm. So show the proof. Like, okay, what I'm saying actually works. You can see a result. You can get that result too if you do this. So that's one thing.
What if you didn't? Sorry.
Yeah.
What if somebody's like, I don't have that much proof.
So the other type of content that would work really well right now, if you're not someone who has a lot of proof and you haven't had a ton of experience, it's a great question, because I think like a lot of people maybe haven't had the experience yet.
Yeah.
But to just give your observation on what's going on. So I found that most people always default to like, they want to be the expert. Mm-hmm. And what happens is the audience is like watching those videos, like, who are you to tell me this? And then they default to like these general videos of 3 tips for this, 4 tips for this. And then the person's like, well, I don't know like why this is valuable. They don't see the connection, and they're kind of over that style of video. Versus if you give your observation, it's nothing to argue with. Yeah. So you can just say like, this just happened in the news. The federal government just did this. Here's how it's going to affect our market. This announcement came out. The election just happened. Here's how it's going to affect home prices. Like, these are just observations.
Right.
And a great way to do this is using headlines from news articles. So I love scanning like the news on the app on your phone. If you use Apple News, you can put the things that you're interested in. So you could put like real estate, mortgage for my niche and my clients, but whatever your industry is, insurance, whatever. And it'll literally present you the most popular topics of the day. So scan the news, then you just give your opinion on that. It's done through a green screen video. You can put that headline behind you. So that's super easy. But like, if I were to make a video right now, I could, and it was about like credit cards, for example. I say, this is the best credit card for people under the age of 30. Now it might do okay, because I could deliver that pretty good, but like, what if I said that according to Forbes, 79% of millennials have this credit card? Like that video is going to do way better because people trust like the article. Right. I'm just giving my observation. Like I'm just telling you like, this is observation versus this. They're like, well, who are you to say this is the best credit card? Well, no, Forbes said it.
Right.
USA Today said it. And I'm just telling you guys, and then I'll give you my opinion later.
Good.
So that works really well right now. And I would tell everybody, if you want to get more views right now as a newer creator, do more observation content than expert content.
That's good.
Because people don't know you as the expert yet.
Right.
They will at some point.
Yeah. Another opportunity with people that are like new in your industry, or and you want to show up consistently, is like, it's also okay to document.
Yeah.
Like document as in like, you not necessarily talking about your day or you, but just like, you're just sharing people that you are also growing. People are okay with that. My friend Nolan like started a business, and he was just like, I'm just going to document the process.
A journey.
He's a coach and he's helping entrepreneurs, but the way he's choosing to be consistent in this season is just documenting the journey. Yeah. And not only is that good for you, because it gets, you getting more comfortable to create, but it also be cool to look back. And when you are an expert, or when you do have receipts and you are in a different era, you can document your journey.
Yeah. And then a lot of people, will talk about this concept of building in public. Like that's the best part of like, okay, hey, I'm building my social media. I'm building this channel. And then you guys are along for the ride. Like people love following along with that stuff. Yep. So it's definitely great. You can do that. And then now when you talk about Instagram stories, I think it's just underutilized. I think it's a great thing. Like we even had this guy, Stephen Meller, talk to both our groups, and this dude's like the Instagram stories expert. And I've always been using stories, but he kind of got me re-excited about it
for sure
recently, because he's showing these great results. And so I think the thing that people complain about, and if anybody's an Instagram like user at an intermediate level or more, if you post a lot in the feed and you post a lot in stories, you've noticed that your Instagram story views are going down. And if you post a lot of stories, you notice that they're like a fraction. For me, I noticed like they've gone down a lot from where they were a couple of years ago. And this is a hack for every single person who wants to get more views on Instagram stories, is to let them all expire. Or if you want to just archive them, you could delete them and then just post one story. And you could post one or two, but it needs to be not spread out like it would be normally throughout the day where there's all these stories, is just post that one story. And if it's not going to fit on one and like you have multiple things to share, post all three at the same time, because now it's just posted at that one time. It's reset the whole algorithm for your stories, and you'll see your views. I've seen them like 10x, sometimes even more on this, and it works.
Yeah. So when you say the word you used was like, what'd you say? Let it
expire.
Expire. Just so people know, because like some people are like, stories, it has a 24-hour lifespan.
Yep.
If you imagine, if you in 24 hours, you uploaded 3 times and you spread that, and then the next day you uploaded 3 times and spread it out, it is just kind of like, it's scattered.
Yes.
And you're saying like, let 24 hours go and let them die out, or archive them or delete them.
Yep.
And then now you have this fresh slate.
Yes.
And then it's like post
one. And so what do you do in this case? Now, this isn't that you have to do this all the time.
Right.
Like I'm sharing things throughout the day. And especially if you're at something, like you're at an event or something's going on where you're just documenting the day.
Yeah.
You're going to post multiple stories throughout the day. That's fine. And you should let people know. But if you ever wanted to get something out to your audience, maybe it's an offer to work with you.
Yeah.
You would want to clear this off and
100.
use this strategy, because now you're going to reach the most amount of your followers.
Right.
And these are people who already know you. Hopefully they trust you because you've been posting consistently. Hopefully they like you because you've been sharing personal things where they can connect with you. And now you can convert using stories. Yeah. So I found this is a great way to convert, is to make an offer in stories. And we're going to do a whole separate episode just on this. And by the way, if anybody's watching this and or listening and you have questions specific, let me know in the comments, because I can make future content on this. I'm going through every single comment, responding to every person. So if you have a question on something you want covered on a future episode, drop it in the comments. But stories, like I've used as a huge conversion tool. And so the right way to do this, I found, is like you would want to show success or document something that is almost extreme success. So if you think about like, what's the best result you've ever achieved or the best result you've got for a client, I would share that in stories and then offer them an opportunity to work with you.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So like I've seen many people do this in writing. In the last 12 months, I've been able to do this.
Yep.
Last week, I was able to do this. Last week, I helped a client do this. And say, crazy thing is, she didn't even know she could do this.
Right.
I can help you. If you want it, here's the next step. And just make it super clear. But I found that if you lead with extreme success, the most amount of people respond.
Yeah. This is why I think it's important to and this is actually like it's a skill, but I figured it out late in the journey, is like, you should have a testimonial album folder, Dropbox, Google Drive. Like anytime somebody texts you, DMs you, the screenshot, put it somewhere. Even there's power in it. Just like I've learned, having a Zoom call conversation with somebody just to get that documented, that win.
Yes.
Okay. So where were you before you reached out? Like I didn't even know I could buy a house. And it wasn't until you told me that there was this loan program. I was like, that's crazy, And so all that to say, like, just because you can share it multiple times. Like in a year's time, you could share the same huge win, 5, 6, 10 times.
Yeah. And people text you all the time if you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
They email you, they text you, they leave reviews for you. And I would tell you this, the uglier the testimonial, the better. So don't take it and put it into this nice, beautiful Canva template. It looks fake. It looks like you made the whole thing up.
Yeah.
Just literally screenshot the text.
That's
raw.
really good.
Like it's super raw with the heart where you hearted it up, and then share that in your story and say like, love getting texts like this.
Yeah.
And then explain in the fewest amount of words possible what happened, and then make an offer for them to work with you. Now, there's all kinds of nuance to this. Like you want to make sure there's scarcity in your offer. There's other things like, it needs to be something where they can take action now versus delaying, because most people delay taking action on things. And these are things that they should be doing.
Right.
Jabin reminded me of this quote the other day. He's like, leaders are taking people places that they don't want to go, but then they'll thank you when they get there.
Right.
So like a lot of times we need people to take action because it's actually good for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to kick the can. Everybody's kicked the can down the road. So you're like, dude, you got to close these people, and they think it's a bad thing to close somebody, but they're going to thank you for closing them. Like they literally tell me, Neel, thank you so much. I wouldn't have come here without your nudge, or I wouldn't have come here if you didn't post that thing.
Right.
I wouldn't have bought this house if you didn't give me the nudge to do it. And so everybody needs a nudge, and you can do that in a better way rather than doing it in this salesy way, which is like, call me for all your needs. Like nobody's going to call you.
Right. And that's, again, going back to like understanding human nature is like people do things that they do things because they feel like it. And our jobs as business owners, marketers, you know, personal brands, like is we can actually create the feeling in people to jump into the thing that we can, that will help them, you know? And the issue is sometimes people use this for negative reasons or selfish reasons, but it doesn't, it's still the same game. It's like, how do we make people feel like buying something from us? How do we make like people feel like giving us their email? And you do that by showing proof, or they can see themselves in that testimonial or what have you.
Yeah. And then one thing that I would tell people, and like I said, I could do a whole freaking hour on just the stories.
You know, because I want to kind of, I want you to talk about like, what not to do too, because like I know
that's
people
important.
are resharing their reels into their stories, and that's kind of like a stories killer.
Yeah.
Like just the whole idea that if you put something in your stories and you have a sequence of stories after that, you could ruin the view on that sequence by simply, you know, putting the wrong stuff in front of that sequence.
So the first story, if you wanted to use this framework to get more views on stories, it needs to be something simple that can be easily digested. And I found the best way to do that is just something in writing, not a video. Now, it doesn't mean like it can't work with video, but if you just want to make it easy, just put something in writing. So it could be a screenshot. It could be a template. It looks like a tweet. It could be you typing using the text tool.
Dude, I do this thing. It's like you take a picture of your lap and you have a black screen, and now you just use
and just type
text
over it.
Yeah.
So, you know, get good at typing. I think there's a lot of people who don't quite understand the way to make text look proper. You see just blah right across the screen. And so look at like what looks visually appealing. You know, that's hard to teach sometimes because people just don't have an eye for it. But I think you start to get more into this as you see ones that are done correctly. So make it clean, easy to understand. Remember, when you confuse, you lose. So don't like try and put too much into one single image.
Yeah.
You can make 2 or 3 images, like I said. But yeah, the wrong conversion is to ask for, I'll just say it like this. Most people I found, at least in my industry, are asking the customer or the viewer in this case to do the thing that they would want to avoid, which is to call them. Nobody wants to call you, bro. Like not yet. I just think like there are so many people who are averse to picking up the phone and talking to other humans.
Right.
Especially the younger you go.
And
they would rather push buttons and have things happen.
Yeah. And nobody jumped on checking their stories to go
call
give you a
call. They're not going to like screenshot the story, go to the phone app, type out the phone number.
Dude, in a weird way though, we think they want to, but that's just because we're in our...
But you can't even copy paste the number. Like I don't even know how logically you could see the number and call
somebody. How about, and also stop putting links in your captions. Let's just say like...
Yeah, you can't click them.
Check out the listing here. And it's like...
Yeah. Or anything. Like people put a link to a page, like it's not clickable, bro.
Right.
And I think they are rolling something out for certain Instagram accounts where you might actually be able to share links in your caption.
Yeah.
That's coming soon. But right now, most people do not have this access.
Right.
So yeah, don't do that. So think about what would be the easiest thing for someone to do on stories. Well, if you ever open up Instagram stories, there's a little box below where you can type something in it.
Yep.
Or you can react to the story.
Yeah.
If you type something in that box, it opens up a DM thread with the individual. So for conversions, this is really powerful, because you could ask them to type something in that box. Now, I found the more specific you are with the next action, the more action will be taken, right? Yep. So instead of saying, DM me or comment below, tell them exactly what you want them to do. So be like, yo, DM me this word.
Yes.
So in real estate, it could be home, or grow, or invest, or whatever that is. And honestly, the word needs to be easy to spell.
Right.
So one feedback I was gonna give you, one time you said, comment Thursday or DM me Thursday. I think Thursday is a little tough, bro. Like maybe they could say grow.
Yeah.
Comment grow if you want to attend. I would bet money on this that you would get a lot more replies. And that seems so dumb. Like people know how to spell Thursday.
No, yeah.
It's just harder to type Thursday.
And I've tested like YT
Yeah.
for YouTube, and it does really well. Cause
Yeah, just remember, like the easier the better for this.
Right.
So tell them, and then now that opens up, and then we'll do more content on this. But like then you could use automations like ManyChat to respond automatically to all the messages you're getting. But in the beginning, if you're new, you're gonna get like 6 people.
Right.
Bro, you don't need no system. Just you respond to every 6, to all 6 leads.
Right.
And start the conversation, send them the resource. The other thing I've noticed that people do wrong is they're asking, there's no specific thing that they're giving.
Mm-hmm.
So they would say, if this is something you want to do, comment, grow, and we can work on next steps. So like the next step is vague, or they think it's going to be jumping on a call, which again, they don't want to do just yet. They will do it at the end, but not just now. So I found the best thing is give them something easy, something simple. So that could be like a guide, a lead magnet. We call these lead magnets, but it's like a checklist, a guide, a cheat sheet, something simple. So it could be like success story, extreme success story. If this is something you'd like to do, I actually have a free guide. I actually have a free checklist on things you need to do to start this process. If you want that free thing, comment this word.
Yep.
So I've got this thing that's super easy and I won't bother you. If you want this free thing, just comment this word.
Yes, good.
Boom. Like people respond.
Something that Steven mentioned is if you could put scarcity on that free giveaway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to die in 24 hours anyway, but you could say, for the next 24 hours, anyone who comments the word free, I'll send you this.
And that could be like, I spent a lot of time on this. I spent the last week putting together this thing. If you want it, I'm going to give it away for free for 24 hours. I'm going to give it away for free for 8 hours. Like if you have a bigger audience, you could make the window even smaller.
Right.
I'm going to delete this post in 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like boom, people are doing it now. So you're giving them a reason to take action now.
Yeah.
And so I just found like, people who say to me, Neel, I'm not getting any clients from Instagram. Most of the time, bro, I found out they didn't even ask.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just waiting for like luck. Now it does happen. Someone's like, bro, I've been watching your videos. I need to work with you. That happens from time to time, but it doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
So for me, when I told you like, hey, I make millions of dollars from Instagram, it was not just sitting back waiting for all this money to come my way. I literally have to prompt people.
Right.
I have to ask for it. And like you said, if you ask, you'll get it.
Yep.
Like I remember a video recently, I had no call to action in the video. It was just education. There was no lead magnet or CTA at the end of the video in Reels, in the feed. So at the end of the video, I said, hey, if you want more on this, make sure you're following me.
Yeah.
And I got more follows. It's so weird. Like I was just assuming people knew that, hey, hit the follow button. But like I was like, yo, I'm going to make another video on this. Make sure you hit the follow button. Like 500 more people hit follow.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have got those people. So I think it's just asking, but asking in the right way.
That's really good. Something else Steven brought up was like sharing. I don't do this enough, if not at all, is sharing memes is actually powerful.
Yeah.
Because you're letting people know your kind of humor, and people can get you more, even if it's like not necessarily in alignment, obviously. But even if the memes are in alignment with your industry, even better.
Yeah.
But memes, because like what is it going to do? People are going to say, ha ha, LOL. They're going to engage because it's funny. So I mean,
And so it doesn't always have to be for sales,
right,
basically, is what we're saying. Like you could share just something personal, whatever.
I think the punchline here is like, just be a user of stories.
Yes.
Like be a user of it in the sense of share things, post things. And then like the more you do it, like, yes, you can get very strategic and plan out times where you have an ask. And then you're maximizing the reach and you're maximizing the opportunity for people to respond.
Correct. Yep. So I would say this: in the feed, post 2 to 3 times a week. And then in stories, I would post something every day. Yeah. Just one thing. And if there's something more going on, share more. Yep. If you want to do a conversion, if you want to do a sales thing, you want to make an offer, do it in like, do it on that day, but it doesn't always have to be sales in stories. Yep. That's just a powerful way to do this. You can also do sales in Reels. You can put a call to action at the end of your video. And again, what's the easiest thing for someone to do on an Instagram Reel? To make a comment. There's a box right below your video where they can type in that box. That's going to be the least friction. The easiest thing to do is just type in there. So you could tell them same thing, comment this word and I'll send you the resource. Yeah. Now that works. I think there's some point, where Instagram may or may not allow you to do the automation using comments. If it changes, we'll come up with something else. But right now, the best conversions I've seen are when you ask them to comment a word, they drop that in there, and then automation goes from there.
Right. I know I don't do this as much, but they've said that they're pushing these kinds of feed posts, and that's carousels.
Yes.
Because people that follow you, they'll show that post more than once to a person. And it's happened to me. It's like, and if you don't know what a carousel is, it's a series of images. It could
be up to 20 now.
Up to 20.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then, but yeah, you can share something tactical. 3 ways to do this, or here, check out, or share a story.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'll send you the first one, and then later on that day or the next day, you're going to see the second one. And it's just a way Instagram wants to promote that. I mean, I need to do it more, but something that you can do too is leverage for the in-feed post carousels.
Yeah, huge. So this stuff is always changing. Like there's new things coming out, which is why you kind of have to be a user of the platform. Right. A lot of times people pop in and pop out. They're like, oh, I'm doing this thing. I'm like, bro, that was 2 years ago. That's dead.
Yeah.
You have to stay active on the platform, and you'll start to see. Now, when I look at consuming other people's content, I'm not just doing it mindlessly. I mean, I'm guilty of it, just like everybody else. You sometimes mindlessly scroll, but now I've got my creator hat on.
Yeah.
Like, why did that video do well?
Right.
Like, success leaves clues. Like, even if it's not in your industry, many times I'll make a note or save it.
Yep.
And actually, I hit the save button on Instagram. I found out I never go in that folder. So if it's really important, now I copy the link and put it on like my notes app of something to review later. Cause I'm like, oh, that's more important. The saved folder is like, I've never gone in there, but I would look at like, why did that video do good? How could I replicate it for my niche? Mm-hmm. And you'll find that like many times you can.
Yep.
And so this is really important, I think, to not only just be a user, but like be intentional. Everything, any success I've gotten from speaking, events, courses, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, is just being intentional, not just throwing it up for the sake of throwing it up.
Right. This is why consistency isn't how you grow on Instagram.
Yeah.
Intentional consistency over time is how you grow on Instagram or whatever platform. If you're intentionally consistent, then yes, you're going to probably get 1% better. You're going to find something to improve. But if it's about checking off a box, I would say don't expect crazy results, because some people, I literally see people that are like, bro, I've been at the YouTube thing for like a year. I've been consistent. Okay, let's check. You haven't made any improvement along the way. So consistency actually isn't enough anymore.
And the crazy thing is with content and digital marketing is a small tweak can give you a massive result.
Yeah.
So if you learned something from today's episode and you're like, you know what, that one thing Neel said or Omar said, I'm going to implement that. You can get a 10x return.
Yeah.
In views, which now can result in more followers, which now can result in more conversions.
Yep.
Like nowhere else is that possible. You can't like all of a sudden decide to get 1,000% increase in the number of calls you're going to make today or the doors you're going to knock or meetings you're going to take. There's only so much time.
Yeah.
So at some point, everybody needs to flip this from one to one to one to many and then do it right. Do it with intention.
Yeah.
Because there's just a ton of people. It's super saturated, but it's not saturated in this intentional area.
Right.
And you just realize like you're not too late.
Nope.
You can still have huge success. We see it every week with people that we coach up, and you can really have huge success if you move into this category. If you have questions on videos that you want me to make on this topic, drop them into the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.